You want it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey,
We're gonna do your picture at the
you ready for
podium.
this?
Sam's gonna help you.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So let me.
Right up there. And take your picture.
This thing also adjusts the height, so just like that. Yeah, look at that.
One of our policy guys. Wow.
Hey.
Yay. Okay. Want to pretend like you're calling on somebody?
Yeah. Do
You're calling on Eric right
make
here.
sure do like
right
do
there.
like a
Look at
point,
him.
like
Yeah.
a point at him
Yeah,
right
point
there.
at him.
Oh, but still from here, yeah.
Oh, should I speak out of the microphones?
Yeah.
Last question.
Yeah.
Yes,
at Eric
you.
Right there. Ready?
One more time, point.
Yeah, and then keep the arm out. Do like
Yeah,
a point.
Point at him.
Last question. Yes?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're a pro. You're a pro. Thank
Look
you,
at
Sam.
that. Of course.
Yeah. You're all prepared now for the press conference. And this room's gonna get filled with people. And the speaker and the rest of the leadership are gonna come. No, we stand right over here. We stand right here. And then we're going to call last question, and the speaker sees us, and then he goes, okay, because we're out of time, and we got to wrap it up, and we got to go on to our next meeting.
Would you like any water?
No, I'm good.
Ah, gotcha.
Thanks, Sam.
So here's the thing. I don't even know what the end of The Sopranos is like, and I never watched the show. I see this. Coca-Cola is going to start. Sweetener. Sugar in the U.S. Oh, it's really good. It's what they do in Mexico. I love that. It's really, really good. It's super sweet. It's a lot sweeter than chemical stuff that they put in it. It's interesting. Trump asked them if they follow
She and her brother are both here.
No, it took longer than 6 months. Yes.
That was when I was first starting, so I can't really remember all the details.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a lot longer than the 6 months. I do remember him saying 6 months.
Oh, this is you want to call my neighbor across the street is supposed to let you in. Yeah, I gave it to them, and let me see if I have it on my phone, but I don't know if I have it. Hold on 1 second.
So human, right?
Man, that was wild.
I mean, do you think they're just scared of being primaried, or do you think there was more to it? I mean, of course, that's part of it.
Yeah, they want to keep their job.
Right.
So it's like this was not a sword to fall on. It was not.
Target. I'm sorry.
It was in the middle of a thing.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, there's no synopsis down there.
What great power. He's got the money. He's got the backing. So they. Yeah, it was interesting how they were so.
Yes, I said she said it.
Okay, so there. Okay, it's 557.
Very thrown off for your age.
7973.
Yeah, they always have to make it look like that they're
Yes.
fighting
Yeah,
to
like I said, it's not many
close the
seven.
deficit.
557 973. Yeah, he's right. It's the neighbor.
When they had someone from the meeting, you remember they were all like, oh, yeah, he answered all the questions, and just like, what question could you possibly answer that's not already obvious?
That's not already obvious.
That you don't know as a congressman, you know?
Well, it's just.
Just a magic question.
You're a better day.
We need the blessing. Kiss the ring.
I've been so worried. Pam?
Do you have a new camera guy?
We are trying out different people. freelancers, but they've also applied for the purposes. So it's almost like trial by fire, where they get job shadow. They do a job shadow day, and then they do a day of just on their own. Our place.
We have the same
My
thing.
place is cool.
That gives me a lot.
Everything we after our main anchor.
And then,
we do a news man.
Camera-wise, you guys are all good in the back?
I am.
You're good, you're good.
Yeah, very much.
Cool.
Yes, we'll all see you tonight.
We need, if you can buy us a minute.
Oh, I got you. Do you need a white bounce or a mic check or anything, or? Oh, for him?
Yeah, we need him.
Yeah, I'll pop back in like a minute.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, this
Yep.
is-
Yeah.
So they'll hear your voice. No, we're gonna say it on the side, but they can hear your voice on the video. When you say last question first, they'll just stay quiet during the press conference, you know, right? That makes sense.
That's probably a 5.
The eye-
That's probably a 5 to 6
My-
months.
My eyes on, maybe late October.
Time for the World Series.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Come on.
Game 7.
For that, where the camera actually says that it's cleaning the sensor.
Try not to crush.
Oh, yeah. On the Flintstones camera, because they had one.
That's something we never had to deal with.
They literally just put people on the tracks because there was smoke in the station. So,
Oh, Metro.
yeah. He's done. So they had to do it. It sucks. Yeah, a little bit.
Hi, how are you?
All right, gotcha. You wanna? Anytime, of course. Ready? Okay, so mic check 1, 2, 3. 5109-2727-9792-8979. How does that sound on your end? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm
Good, good. Okay, cool. You need a white balance or anything? You're all set.
I'm good. Thank you.
Were you downstairs? Yeah.
Actually, Chris Kim just got to Thank you. And it got to the point where I'm like, yeah, it got to the point where I'm like, this is an issue. Yeah. No, you like, we want you to apply. So weird. Oh, no. It's really, yeah, there's a lot of turmoil. I know, I was.
Different positions.
Yeah, I just live right across the street from Chris.
It's hard to like do something different. It was just because I'm walking by fire.
Right, yes, yes.
Agreed. No, I mean, in general, I mean, to come up with a new composition with new shots, it's very complex and how to do so. Probably is what it is. Oh, I'm sure. No, absolutely true. I've done that.
Yeah.
Right. Like, works better with more Jeffrey. Right. The subject matter isolation and how to distract the elements there.
Some ideas for me here. I'm right on the ramp.
I'm sure by the time Cuban comes along, there'll be ideas that sound really good. Good and bad ones. Only question is how confrontational versus not what. You could also say it's right, Epstein. You fall back and can't concentrate. Yeah, Johnson said, give him some space. That's the way we do it.
Cut cameras today. No cut cameras today.
Yeah. Where's the news happening today then?
Just like
Philippines guys, Bonbon, something or other.
something or other. It's always Marcos.
Marcos, right.
It's always Marcos.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Is it?
They all have it. I think it's one of those dynasties. I'm not sure about Bonbon. Yeah, all these seats are reserved, sort of. Just assume that you like just to I said, I mean, literally just last week, I said, just checking in, haven't seen you out.
Yeah.
It's been offered twice.
Right. Yes.
Sounds of enthusiasm.
He is, yes. It was literally just last week I sent him the,
That's very kind.
you notice, I said he's studying for the LSAT, something like that.
Is he going to law school?
I think he wants to.
Yeah, good.
It's wiser. It's just, what's your priorities are. Being not poor, not being poor is a priority, then you have trouble.
Down in Southern California.
She's excited. Her kids like, yeah, her first trip like that, yeah. You don't get that every single.
We'll see. It's
Fine for 26.
Say again? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But if you're a lawyer, you could make enough money to actually just go.
Yeah, but.
I'm kidding, right?
Yeah, that's true, but. And there's actually some places you can't buy it. True, up to the point you want us to buy. There's definitely some things that doesn't matter how much money.
Cue the talent.
Sam, aren't you in charge? Aren't you in charge?
Yeah.
We're all waiting.
I know. I've got it right on there. For you.
Right.
Well, it's all about, yeah, it just saves you time.
Tom will react. Although he's watched well.
This is good. No, whatever you do.
Heads up. Heads up.
We got a new journalist in the room today. That's great. What's the new journalist's name? Kate. Welcome, Kate. Yeah, see? Well, good morning, everybody. So glad to have you here today. This weekend marked 6 months since President Donald Trump returned to the Oval Office, and boy, has it been historic. Together, we have secured the border, restored peace through strength, squashed inflation, supercharged our economy, and delivered on the one big, beautiful bill. America is safe, prosperous, and great again. But Democrats continue their dangerous rhetoric. That is endangering law enforcement agents. I mean, an officer gets shot by an illegal alien in New York. Do you think that's a coincidence? Because I don't. It's their policies, it's their rhetoric. You know, my question is, did their policies lead to this rhetoric and all this rhetoric lead to this attack? Ask yourself that. I'll let you be the judge of that. Do you think their policies and their rhetoric hurt law enforcement agents or help them? Just ponder on that for a minute. This week, House Republicans will return home for our annual work period. And during this work period, we are going to work with our members to take our message coast to coast, and we're going to make sure that we have the Democrats own their message, because we all know they like to weasel out of their message. And we're going to take our message from Long Island to the suburbs of Los Angeles. The American people will hear how the One Big Beautiful Bill will benefit them. We are going to correct the truth with the other half of the truth, because all Democrats have right now is fear-mongering. They have no plan, no vision, and no leader. I'm planning to be in my district this week to speak with Michiganders, but I'm also going to be traveling with some of our frontline members from Pennsylvania to New Jersey. We will visit actual manufacturing facilities where the workers, the American taxpayer, will benefit from the One Big Beautiful Bill, and we'll be having conversations with that. I'm sure along the way we're going to stop at a few restaurants, maybe get some takeout, where their staff or delivery drivers will enjoy the benefits of no tax on tips. The bottom line is this: the impact of the One Big Beautiful Bill will be felt positively everywhere. And working families, their bottom lines will be increased. Imagine how Democrat district visits are going to go. That's if they stay in their own districts. But remind the Democrats voted against securing the border. Remember that? They said, Biden said, we can't do that. No, we just needed a president who actually could do that. So remind the Democrats that it's the Republicans who are actually unleashing American energy. You know, putting money back into our economy, making us energy independent again, expanding the child tax credit. And I hear all that fear-mongering about, the rural hospitals are going to shut down. We actually created a rural hospital fund that can actually, the monies go to these hospitals. They don't have all this bureaucracy in between. Wow. That's a solution for a change, but you won't hear the Democrats talk about that. Generational investments. We made generational investments in our national security. No tax on overtime, no tax on tips. Every single Democrat voted to kill millions of jobs. Give federal benefits to those who never should receive those benefits before. Remember, the Democrats are making sure that Medicaid is not there for the people who need it most by allowing the waste, the fraud, the abuse to actually continue and to give it to illegals over Americans who need it more than anything. And take those $1,000 of paychecks from hardworking Americans. Remember, they voted to increase every single working family's tax rate. I'm so sick and tired of hearing, oh my gosh, it's a tax rate for the rich. No, it's not. Think about this. This is a fact, and I'm curious if you've asked any of the Democrats this. They voted to raise a taxpayer's income who makes $48,000, which would be in the 12% tax bracket. They voted to raise the tax bracket from 12% to 25% on if you make $48,000. I don't know, any of you think $48,000, is that a tax break for the rich? A tax incentive for the rich? No, you're taking money from working class families. Make the Democrats own. Ask them why they voted for the biggest tax increase in history. Ask them why. I don't think these meetings are going to go very well. Now, I hope the Democrats are home and the local press will hold them accountable, and to explain why they voted to kill American jobs, especially when they're already somebody who voted no, but notice every Democrat takes the dough. It's ridiculous, and we will continue to bring these fallacies to life. We will continue to correct the truth with the other half of the truth, and the fear-mongering from the Democrats has got to stop. Now, to talk about this and the importance of the One Big Beautiful Bill for people in her district with me is Congresswoman Jen Kiggins. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for including me this morning in your press conference. I'm Congresswoman Jen Kiggins, and I proudly represent Virginia's 2nd District, which is home to a large percent of veteran population. In the country, we have about 6% of our population who has served in our great military. And in my district, we have more than twice that, about 13%. So I'm here today to talk about the veteran perspective and the wins for the veteran community in the One Big Beautiful Bill. I am a veteran. I served as a Navy helicopter pilot for 10 years of my life. I am married to an F-18 pilot who served for 20 years. And I'm also very proudly a Navy mom to a future naval aviator. So The people in my district, we are regular, everyday Americans. We just put service to country first. And not only if you are a veteran, but if you work with the veteran community and the defense community in my district, the wins in the One Big Beautiful Bill are important to us. We are hardworking, we are business owners, we are small business owners, we are parents, we are moms and dads, we are people who care about community safety. So the wins in this One Big Beautiful Bill from the economy side, the extension of the tax breaks, the no tax on tips and overtime, the wins that we know our veterans will feel more in their bank accounts. We're used to living on fixed income like we did in the military. We know that each and every penny counts and how hard we have to work to earn our money. We want to keep more of our paychecks. We want our veterans and all Americans to feel like they have more in their pocketbooks. So those are the biggest wins for the veteran community. The border security piece is important because we care about community safety. And we know that every state is a border state, even Virginia. So we care about the people that are around our neighborhoods, that are around our kids' schools, that are watching our families. That community safety piece is important. And knowing that we have a secure border, knowing that we're not letting people from the terrorist watch list, that you know, as veterans, we have concerns about who is in our country, who is here to do us harm. But I think most importantly, the biggest wins for a lot of us in the veteran community was that $150 billion Defense Plus up. So many of us joined and signed up to serve again in our great military for our great country because of the chaotic withdrawal in Afghanistan. We saw weakness on the world stage. We saw what it looks like when our country doesn't prioritize peace through strength. The world is a very dangerous place. And now as a military mom, really, I care about that issue. And so many people in my district, so many of our children are serving, so many of my neighbors and friends. So for me, that peace through strength piece is the most important piece. And we're seeing Republicans put our money where our mouth is and prioritize quality of life, quality of service initiatives for our military. We're seeing next generation strike fighter funding. We're seeing money for 16 more ships being built. There's $9 billion for quality of life, $29 billion for shipbuilding, $16 billion for shipyards and depot, which we know are in need of repair, $9 billion for air superiority. We need to prioritize this peace through strength part, and that's what this One Big Beautiful Bill does. During the Biden administration, we had defense spending at an all-time low. We know that in times of our greatest peace, defense spending is about 5 to 6%. President Trump has not only agreed to do that for our country and for our military, but also he's encouraging our allies to do that, and we're seeing them get on board with that too. So I can't just emphasize enough the importance of prioritizing defense spending and what this Big Beautiful Bill does for that. You know, as Republicans and as veterans who care about how much money we have, we also want to make sure that we are not wasting money. And the programs, the reforms that we've put in place for Medicaid is important. We know that we want to keep that program for people who need it the most. We have plenty of veterans who are disabled, who are Medicaid recipients. I want to make sure that program is there for them. So the reforms we put in place are so important. But it's certainly a privilege to be able to represent, again, a district that has one of the largest veteran populations. These are great wins for the American public, great wins for the veteran community, and I'm very proud to be a part of this effort. Thank you so much.
Great job, Jen. Over the weekend in New York City, an off-duty Customs and Border Protection officer was shot in the face during an attempted robbery by 2 illegal aliens. These 2 criminals were allowed into our country by the Biden administration, where they both have gone on to commit multiple crimes. Assault, kidnapping, larceny, and now attempted murder make up their rap sheet. Senseless, dangerous sanctuary policies put these criminals back on the streets after their numerous arrests, enabling them to wreak havoc on innocent Americans. The damage done by the Biden administration's deliberate open border policies cannot be understated. We are still feeling the consequences of it today. But President Trump, DH Secretary Noem, and Border Czar Tom Homan are turning the tide. In my state of Minnesota, ICE arrests of illegal aliens have doubled since President Trump took office. And while the local worthless media in my home state tries to spin that as a bad thing, the brave men and women of ICE are getting the worst of the worst illegal aliens off the streets of Minnesota and America, restoring safety and security to our communities. As these officers enforce the laws, they face an 830% increase in assaults. To the ICE agents risking their lives to keep us all safe, thank you. To the Border Patrol agents and custom officers securing our border, thank you. The One Big Beautiful Bill supports their efforts by giving them the tools they need to continue this critical work, including more ICE officers, more Border Patrol agents, more border wall, and more detention space. These resources strengthen and make permanent the great success that President Trump has already had securing the border and deporting criminal illegal aliens. The One Big Beautiful Bill delivers historic border security wins. It delivers historic border security wins, and we're all safer for it. With that, the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Whip. Well, it's been a very busy first 6 months working with the Trump administration to deliver critical wins for hardworking families across America, to deliver wins on those issues that we all ran on, the things we said we would do if we got a Republican White House, Republican Senate, and Republican House. And of course, the One Big Beautiful Bill really is the epitome of so many of those victories, but that's not all we've done. The president has already signed or has on his desk 31 different bills that have been passed by the House and Senate on the desk of the president, almost all of which have been signed into law. After today, maybe all 31 will have been signed into law to continue delivering and getting our country back on track, reversing the damage that was done by Joe Biden in 4 years. What the Democrats did working with Joe Biden, not just to increase inflation, increase interest rates, to increase regulations and rules that stifled the ability for small businesses to grow. We've been working hard to reverse all of that. And while we are celebrating all of these wins, we are not tired of winning. And the American people aren't either. That's why this week we still have more bills on the House floor, but we also have a lot of work being done in our committees. The Appropriations Committee this week is taking up 3 more appropriations bills in full committee. Tom Cole and his members have been doing an incredible job of getting their bills out of committee. The House has already passed over 60% of all government funding over to the Senate. And this week, we're going to see something that hasn't happened in years. The United States Senate is finally taking up a House appropriations bill. That should be something that's always going on in Congress, where you see the House and Senate doing their jobs together. But Chuck Schumer, for years, refused to participate in a normal appropriations process because he wanted shutdowns. He wanted chaos. It's one of the reasons the Democrats lost the Senate, is because the American people didn't want that dysfunction. And John Thune promised there would be a new day in the United States Senate, and Leader Thune is delivering on that. And one of those commitments he made is that we would have a normal working appropriations process, and they're actually doing that this week, moving the Milcon VA appropriations bill and continuing to move more of the bills that we're sending over from the House. And so as the American people see Washington working for them for a change, we're also going to be going during this district work period and explaining to the American people what's been in a lot of those bills, because the Democrats have been lying over and over and over again about tax cuts for billionaires. They're talking about hospitals closing. Everybody in America is going to die, according to every Democrat. And of course, when the American people look at what's in those bills, they're going, wait a minute. You know, the waiter and waitress in America who averages $32,000 a year is going to get about $1,700 more in their pockets. That's real money for working people. And every Democrat voted no. You know, so while they're going back home and explaining and lying about the bills, we're going to start panning out across the country, telling the truth about what really is happening in the economy for working families. And we're proud of that. We're not done delivering, but I think it's important that we take some time to talk about what we've already done and delivered as we continue to move more bills. Like I said, a lot of work being done this week in committees. Energy and Commerce has taken up the NIL bill. You're seeing Judiciary focus on that report. It's been covered pretty well, but I think there's a lot more to the story about the Russian collusion hoax that started under President Obama, and some of those facts are finally starting to come out. You know, it's interesting to see Democrats want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein all of a sudden. For 4 years, Democrats hid and covered up the Epstein files. They did. They had it for 4 years. And Trump's in the courts right now trying to get a lot of that information unsealed so the American public can see it. But we're going to continue pushing for that transparency. Our committees are going to keep working to deliver more results for American families. That's what we've been doing. That's what we're going to continue to do while Democrats just vote no. They hide, they lie, they try to talk about what they would do if they were in power, but of course everybody knows what they did when they were in power. They moved a far-left socialist agenda. They're about to elect as their new party leader a socialist Marxist mayor of New York City. And half the Democrats, they all want to meet him and take selfies with him, and yet they're not sure if they're going to endorse him or not. But the bottom line is that's where their party has moved in Washington, in New York, but that's not where America is. Republicans are delivering for Americans, for hardworking families, all across the political spectrum, and that's why this economy is finally starting to move in the right direction. Our speaker, who's never slowed down, who's never accepted failure as an option, the man who continues to work and is so patient, listen to our members, and then ultimately delivering with President Trump on this great agenda, is our Speaker, Mike Johnson.
Thank this leadership team and all of you. Good morning. Thank you. Representative Kagan's doing an extraordinary job for Virginia and our military families and all of the issues she works so hard on. Thank you for all that hard work. I tell you what, it's been an exciting 6 months. Sunday, as you all probably know, marked the first 6 months of the Trump presidency, the second term. The 47th president has had an incredible run. We're on a winning streak. America's hot again. We're bringing back strength and prosperity and capitalizing and delivering on all the campaign promises that President Trump made on the campaign trail and that all Republicans did by extension. We're really proud of that. And I tell you what, history is going to record this to be one of the most consequential, extraordinary first 6 months of any administration ever, because we have unified government. The voters in this country gave Republicans the chance to turn this mess around, and we are. So we have the White House and the Senate and the House, and we're using it effectively every single day. And here in the House, we've kept pace with President Trump's extraordinary momentum. He never sleeps, and so we don't get to either. We've been codifying his executive orders at a record pace. We're cementing America First policies into law. We're enacting the full scale of the Trump administration's agenda, with the passage, of course, of the One Big Beautiful Bill, sort of a capstone of the first 6 months. And we've accomplished so much in just that time period. And I think the key is we've done that with unity. As you all have noticed, it's very deliberate. We work very closely, hand in hand, the Senate and House Republicans as one united team. That's kind of an innovation in Washington, but a very important one. And we've demonstrated that that unity is how we deliver. There's no majority in the history of this body that can wield power unless it stands together. And so I work really hard, we all do, this leadership team does every day, to keep everybody rowing in the same direction. This morning at our weekly conference meeting, we discussed the upcoming schedule, given the Democrats' endless efforts to politicize the Epstein controversy and that whole investigation. I want to be clear about this. There's a reason behind what we are doing here. We have a responsibility, actually a dual responsibility here, okay? I've been on record very clearly that I believe in maximum transparency. I think every single House Republican will say the same thing. In fact, they've told me that publicly and privately. They talk about this. We want maximum transparency. We also understand the other part of that duty is that we have to protect innocent victims, okay? We have to do both things at the same time. What do we mean by that? Look, involved in the Epstein evil, okay, which is what it was. Let's call it what it was. There are innocent victims of those unspeakable sex crimes, okay? Some of them were minors, some of them were not. When the Epstein records are turned over to the public, which we must do as quickly as possible, we have to also be very judicious and careful about protecting the innocent. I think everybody in the country should understand the necessity of that. It is the standard. I used to be a litigator. It's the standard in the court of law and the courts. It's the standard in law enforcement. Anyone who's served in law enforcement understands the necessity of that. It is the standard with government agencies. We protect the innocent. So we cannot be careless in an open release like that. You have to be very careful. The president himself has said that he wants maximum transparency and all credible evidence to be turned over to the American public so that everyone can make their own decisions. We're owed that. And we want any individual who has been involved in any way in the Epstein evils to be brought to justice as quickly as possible. And the law should be brought down upon their head. We're unequivocal about that, okay? We have to make sure that the credible evidence is revealed, and we're doing that. The president has made a request to the courts in the grand jury testimony and the files there, for example. And the court should turn that over. And that will be a continuing and ongoing quest. Now, what we refuse to do is participate in another one of the Democrats' political games. This is a serious matter. We are not going to let them use this as a political battering ram. The Rules Committee became the ground for them to do that. We're not going to allow them to engage in that charade anymore. Why do I call it a charade? Because the Democrats are trying to play gotcha politics right now when, as the leader just pointed out, they don't have any moral high ground on this at all. They controlled the Department of Justice for the last 4 years. Has anyone forgotten? They had all these files the entire time. They sat on everything Epstein related for 4 long years while President Biden was in office. You could draw your own conclusions as to why, but we've been intellectually consistent the entire time. And I want to say this about my colleagues Ro Khanna and Jim McGovern and Hakeem Jeffries and so many others. They've tweeted about Epstein countless times in the last 2 weeks, but go back and look at their social media accounts, we have, and their public comments. They had exactly 0 posts on the subject for the last 4 years of the Biden administration. Interesting, isn't it? We all understand that the America First agenda and the American people are best served by putting an end to the Democrats' sideshows. And that's what we're doing by not allowing the Rules Committee to continue with that nonsense this week. As was noted, we've got tons of very important work going on here. The leader just gave you a small sampling of it. But we're done being lectured on transparency by the same party that orchestrated one of the most shameless, dangerous political cover-ups in the history of this country or any government on the face of planet Earth. If the Democrats want to talk transparency, I'm happy to rewind the tape. 366 days ago, President Joe Biden was unceremoniously forced off the Democrat ticket. Everybody knows why. Even after millions of Americans had already cast their primary votes for him, the self-proclaimed party of democracy threw out their nominee, the sitting president of the United States, for his disastrous debate performance. On the debate stage, President Biden revealed to the American people what Democrats in Congress spent 4 long years trying to hide, that the President of the United States of America was in rapid mental decline and unable to continue serving as the leader of the free world. I'm going to say that again. The man holding the most powerful office on the face of the earth, who we now know was being propped up by his staff and Democrats in Congress, was in rapid mental decline. It was as shocking as it was dangerous, and they all participated in it. Nearly every single one of the Democrats who shamelessly attempted to pull the wool over our eyes still holds office today. You ought to be chasing them down the hallways asking for their responses on that. We released a 14-minute-long video yesterday with just a small sample of the countless receipts of the Democrats at every level spending this fantastical lie to the American people. I encourage every reporter in this room to go watch that. You ought to use the clips, and you ought to go ask them about it. And remember that the same Democrats who lied to us for years are now trying to convince you they stand for transparency. They participated in one of the greatest political scandals in all of history, and the House Republicans are not going to allow this to be whitewashed from the historical record. We'll continue to investigate and shine light on those who perpetrated this and provide answers directly to the American people. Now, President Biden's mental condition was poor, but his legacy of achievement in office was even worse. And I've said many times, after those 4 years of Biden and Harris, every single area of public policy was in a disastrous state. In Congress and the White House, we've been hard at work from day one of this Congress, day one of the Trump administration, trying to undo all that damage of the last 4 years. And we're laying the foundation for what will make our country safer, stronger, and more prosperous than ever before. The American people gave President Trump a clear mandate to enact his America First agenda, and Republicans answered the call. To date, we've enacted 50 of the president's executive orders, from reining in bureaucratic waste, fraud, and abuse to passing common sense legislation to delivering our once-in-a-generation legislative victories through the One Big Beautiful Bill. Let me give you a quick summary. Americans asked for secure borders and safer communities, and Republicans delivered the largest investment in border security and interior enforcement on record. And with the Halt Fentanyl Act and the Lake and Riley Act, we're making sure American communities are safe from deadly drugs and illegal aliens that have taken far too many lives. The American people asked us for bigger paychecks and more affordable gas and groceries, and we delivered on that too. We delivered the largest working and middle-class tax cut in the history of the United States. And we've torn down Biden-era regulations like the California EV mandate that was just madness and worked against working families and American energy dominance. The American people demanded fiscal sanity, and Republicans delivered again. We passed more than $1.5 trillion in spending cuts so the government can begin to live within its means again. All of this is real, positive change for American families. The kind that they are going to directly feel in their bank accounts, they're going to see it in their neighborhoods, and they're going to count on it for years to come. Any of these individual feats as standalone bills would have been considered historic achievements by any Republican Congress. And we got them all done, all together, in one big, beautiful bill. And the more the American people hear about that bill, the more they like it. There was a Harvard Harris poll that recently surveyed the individual titles, the individual pieces of the big bill, and they found that 17 of the 21 major proposals polled had a majority of support. That's including things like reducing federal spending and imposing common sense work requirements on public assistance. But while the American people continue to learn about the bill, they'll also begin to feel its positive effects because we did this on a very aggressive timetable. As you all know, we put it on an ambitious timeline to be delivered. Many in this room said it wouldn't succeed. You wrote about it. I read all that. That's fine. We said we needed 6 weeks to craft our House budget resolution, and we passed it in February. We said we'd pass our House version of the One Big Beautiful Bill by Memorial Day, and we beat that deadline by 4 days. We said we'd pass it through both chambers and get it to the president's desk for signature by July 4th. And what happened? We had a big, beautiful signing ceremony at the White House on Independence Day. It was a historic day, and it's a testament to what this House Republican Conference can accomplish when we remain united and working towards a common goal. Last thought here, on closing note, this is the last leadership press conference before we enter the August district work period. Around here, people call it the August recess. It is not that, okay? So I know that lots of people in the press corps are going to be able to enjoy some downtime with friends and families, and we commend you for that, but House Republicans aren't going to get to participate in all that stuff because this month of August is not a vacation. This is arguably the most important work month on our calendar. Why? Because our members go home, they connect with their constituents in person, they host roundtables with local businesses and organizations, they meet with community stakeholders and local officials, really, really important components of the job. And frankly, they need to cut through the false and misleading claims about the One Big Beautiful Bill from the media and the Democrats. As I mentioned, the more people know, the more they greatly favor the bill that we passed. And House Republicans are going to spend the month highlighting how it will positively impact our districts and our communities. With that, I'll take a few questions.
Mr. Speaker.
Chad.
Good morning. You say yesterday that you were in lockstep with the administration on the Epstein files, but it doesn't seem that you're in lockstep with all of your House Republicans. Thomas Massey just saying in the past hour that this is going to come back and bite Republicans. What do you say to those schisms inside your conference here?
I say Thomas Massey is the one trying to bite Republicans, okay? I'm not quite certain what his strategy is.
But it's just not him. I mean, otherwise you guys wouldn't be calling off the week tomorrow. You'd be able to put your rules on the floor. I understand the issue with the Democrats.
Yeah, no, I just explained why. We're not going to play political games with this. We've all been very clear and transparent. The House Rules Resolution sets a good standard and requires all credible evidence to be released, and that's exactly where the White House is. There's no, as I've said many times over the last, as I've said many times, there's no daylight between the White House and the House. You have to allow the legislation to ripen, and you also have to allow the administration the space to do what it is doing. The president has said clearly, and he has now ordered his DOJ to do what it is we've all needed DOJ to do for years now, and that is to get everything released. So they're in the process of that. There's no purpose for Congress to push an administration to do something that they're already doing. And so this is for political games. I'm very resolute on this. We can both call for full transparency and also protect victims. And if you run roughshod or you do it too quickly, that's not what happens. But I'm convinced that the DOJ is going to do their job, the administration is going to do their job, and we'll do our job. And so we'll see to it. Yes, ma'am. I have a corner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just to follow up on that, I know before when you were asked whether or not you would back Mr. Massey for re-election, you didn't give a direct answer. He had some harsh things to say about your leadership yesterday related to the Epstein files. Have you made up your mind whether or not you would support him or back him against the party judge or back him?
So as the leader of my party, I lead the incumbent protection program. Okay, that's my job. I go all around the country. I travel endlessly, incessantly. I have to raise over $300 million to do that, and we want everybody to come back. And some people, I try to protect them from themselves. You know, they kick and scream and bite their own colleagues. Some people seem to enjoy trying to inflict political pain on their own teammates. I'm not going to address anybody individually, but I'll tell you that some here are much more frustrated than others. There's a small, tiny handful but one in particular who's given me lots of consternation. I don't understand. I don't understand Thomas Massey's motivation. I really don't. I don't know how his mind works. I don't know what he's thinking. Thomas Massey could have brought his discharge petition any time over the last 4.5 years. Over the last 4 years of the Biden administration, he could have done that at any time. And now he's clamoring as if there's some sort of timeline on it. It's interesting to me that he chose the election of President Trump to bring this, to team up with the Democrats and bring this discharge petition. So do I have some concern about that? I do. But you know, in me and my way, I try to follow Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment, never speak evil of another Republican. My gosh, it's hard to do sometimes around here. I also try to follow the scripture. You know, it says, bless those who persecute you. So let me just say about Thomas Massey, could you just accept my Southern, bless his heart, okay? I don't know what else to say about it. We're for maximum transparency. We're engaging in that right now, and we don't need political games. Yes, ma'am, over here. Yes. Wait, I was pointing to her. Go ahead, sir.
So health insurance companies are requesting 15% premium increases for next year. They're citing the expiration of the Obamacare subsidies. Are Republicans thinking about this? Is there any possibility that they would look at extending those subsidies or any other things to decrease health insurance?
I think that goes to the end of the calendar year, so we'll have discussion about the issue later, but it hasn't come up yet. I mean, but it's on the radar. Back row, yes.
Two questions. First is, did the president or anyone in the administration ask you to delay the resolution until after recess?
No, but I, as you all know, I speak to the president multiple times a day on a typical day, often, always. And what I know about the president's heart on this is that he agrees with everything I've said here today. He wants maximum transparency, but he's also very insistent that we do not subject people who have already been victims of unspeakable crimes to further public scrutiny. And it would be a very dangerous thing to put those people's names out or to do a release of information in a way that is haphazard where they could be easily unmasked. And so you have to be very careful about how you do that. I think we have a moral responsibility to do that. We have a moral responsibility to expose the evil of Epstein, and everybody was involved in that. Absolutely. And we're resolved to do it. But we also have an equal moral responsibility to protect the innocent. And that is a fine needle to thread. And we could all give ourselves easy political cover and come out and do something in a haphazard fashion, but I would not be able to sleep at night because I know our legal responsibility. I understand what the legal standard is, but more than that, the moral standard, okay? So we're going to do this, and we're going to do it expeditiously. We're going to do it the right way. What is popular isn't always right, and what is right isn't always popular. I had an 8th grade teacher tell me that one time. I carried it with me my whole life. We're going to do the right thing here. And the American people at the end will see that we did that in the right way and on the right timetable. Yes, sir. Wait, hold on, wait a second. What'd you say? Wait, did she say it?
She did earlier.
Wait, come up here. I didn't hear.
You gotta say it loud.
Stand right here and tell them. Tell them. Last question.
Last question.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Wait, over here under the clock. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, behind you, right here. Sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Russia is still bombing Ukraine, and a lot of Ukrainian civilian people are still dying. Do you consider sanctions on Russia before the 50-day period?
We were talking about sanctioning Russia, but I think the House and the Senate agree that the White House, having given that deadline of 50 days, we need to allow the Commander-in-Chief and the administration and the Secretary of Defense and the Pentagon to do what they're going to do, and we'll see how that plays out. But I can tell you, the appetite here is that we've got to bring accountability to Vladimir Putin and make this war cease. We need peace over there. It's gone on too long. Too many innocent people are dying, and we don't want further American involvement in this at all. But I do think what NATO is doing and our allies around the world may be effective. I think we've all had enough of it, and we hope it comes to an end soon. But we trust the Commander-in-Chief. He's restoring peace through strength. This is a big part of that. Thank you all so much.
Yes. Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. I'll hand it to them. You want me to handle placement? Do you want to eyeball? Yeah, I got it. Of course. Yeah. Just let me know. Let me know whatever you're looking for.
You got the best answer out of him.
Yes, that was the best answer.
In the door. So you're gonna keep moving the door.
So tired. And then Smart, let me know whenever you're good for a mic check. What? Stern poster? Yeah. Mic check 1, 2, 3. Mic check. Mic check 1, 2, 3. How's that sound on your end? Is it blown out or is it just like low? Blown out? Press the button in on the board behind you, whichever one you're plugged into. Mic check. Mic check. Got you. And then you need a white balance, or you all good for that? Heads up. Heads up.
Good morning. Grateful to be joined today by DCCC Chair Susan Del Bene and the Vice Chair Ted Lieu. At the DCCC today, we had a productive caucus meeting across the street. Donald Trump promised to lower costs on day one. We're 6 months into this Trump administration, and prices are rising because of reckless tariffs, inflation is still too high, and now healthcare costs are going to skyrocket. For the 24 million Americans who rely on the Affordable Care Act, health insurance will go up by as much as 75%. And these price hikes don't even include the tax credits that Republicans are going to let expire. So even more Americans are going to see higher costs and could lose their health care coverage. Democrats have been warning about the dangers of the Republican cuts to Medicaid leading to higher prices for everyone. The American people were told that Donald Trump and Republicans were going to turn the economy around and prioritize families. But that couldn't be further from the truth. They've spent the last 6 months putting more money in billionaires' pockets and cutting health care, but they did make private jets tax deductible. So there's that. They're even shielding Jeffrey Epstein and his associates, including the President of the United States, from accountability, despite promising for years to release the files that implicate those involved. At a time when family budgets are stretched thin, Republicans are only prioritizing the needs of billionaires. It's not just bad policy that will make the economy worse. It's a slap in the face to working people who voted to bring down costs. Now introduce Vice Chair Ted Lieu.
Thank you, Chairman Aguilar. This morning, I went on this interesting website called HouseRepublicanPriceHikes.com. And if you go on that website, you can see the increases in grocery prices starting from the beginning of this year. Beef prices, for example, are at an all-time high. Donald Trump promised that he was going to lower inflation on day one. He lied. Inflation has continuously increased. The most recent report has inflation increasing above expectations to 2.7%. Core CPI increased even more to 2.9%. And what are congressional Republicans doing? Nothing. In fact, it's even worse than that. They are actually ending this week early because they're afraid to cast votes on the Jeffrey Epstein issue. The Rules Committee is not meeting because they're afraid to cast votes to release the Epstein files. So you've got this Epstein issue affecting congressional operations and making sure that the congressional Republicans don't work on trying to lower costs. So this is an epic cover-up, right? This is a cover-up of epic proportions where you've got the majority party literally having us leave Congress early and not having the Rules Committee meet because they don't want to deal with releasing the Epstein files. We should release the Epstein files. It is what Donald Trump campaigned on. It's what Attorney General Pam Bondi talked about this February when she said the Epstein client list was, quote, sitting on her desk right now. Why don't we have that client list? And these are the questions the American people keep asking, and the story is not going to go away because at core, this is an issue about underage women who were sexually abused and assaulted. Attorney General Pam Bondi should not be protecting Jeffrey Epstein's legacy, nor his clients, nor should congressional Republicans be doing the same. With that, it is my honor to introduce our amazing field general for the DCCC, Congresswoman Susan DelBene. She's done a fantastic job, and she's going to discuss what we talked about this morning.
Thanks, Vice Chair Lieu and Chairman Aguilar. Good morning, everyone. This morning in caucus, we presented how we're holding House Republicans accountable for their disastrous agenda and our path to retake the majority. We hear over and over and over again from people back home that the top issue for them is affordability and lowering costs for everyday goods. By all accounts, Republicans have failed miserably in the time that they've had the trifecta. Prices are still rising, whether it's housing, health insurance premiums, or everyday things like food and groceries. Republicans broke their promise to lower costs. Their big, ugly law is just another broken promise. It rips coverage away from millions of people and will raise health care bills for everyone, regardless of what kind of insurance that they have. And it takes food off the table from hungry families and children. It guts funding for rural hospitals and increases ER wait times. Energy bills will go up for families across the country. Republicans did all of this to pay for tax breaks for the wealthiest few. Their agenda is cruel, it's extreme, and an absolute disaster. And the American people agree. In poll after poll, we see that the Republicans' bill is massively unpopular. The more people learn about it, the more they oppose it. The one lie Republicans keep telling themselves is that voters won't punish them in the midterms because the American people won't feel the pain of the cuts until after the election. Aside from the fact that this is exactly the kind of insincere political gamesmanship the public hates, it's also not true. In a matter of months, millions of people will see their health insurance costs go up by an average of 75%. Rural hospitals are already announcing they'll close down and cut services. So no matter how many legislative games that Republicans try to play, there's no hiding from the facts. The big, ugly law will devastate and have devastating consequences that will absolutely be felt by working families. Republicans are poised to lose the majority next year, and they know it. You can tell by the way they're behaving. They avoid in-person town halls because they're afraid to face the public when they have to talk about their big ugly bill. House Republicans are headed for the exits. We already have 3 vulnerable Republicans decide to retire or not run for re-election because they know they're not going to take the majority. And we know there are more with one foot out the door who may soon announce that they won't seek re-election. So in these last 6 months, Republicans have broken promise after promise, feeding into a larger narrative that reminds everyone that they don't work for the American people. They work for the elite, the powerful, and the billionaires. It's a theme we hear on the ground day after day. And if House Republicans would take the time to listen to their constituents back home, instead of only working and waiting for Donald Trump to tell them what to do, they would know. But instead, they blindly follow his orders that are hurting our economy and hitting the American families in their pocketbooks. And that's why they'll lose the majority. House Democrats will hold every single vulnerable Republican accountable for their betrayal against their communities when they supported the big, ugly bill. We have the better message, we have stronger candidates, and public sentiment is on our side. And next year, we'll have the gavels. Thank you, and I'll turn it back to Chairman.
Thank you, Chair Delbene. Questions?
Thank you. House Oversight just approved a subpoena of Ghislaine Maxwell. What are the main questions? What are the leading questions that you have for her?
I'm not on the House Oversight Committee. I won't be. Yeah, I won't be in those meetings. But let me tell you our position. Donald Trump and House Republicans want to protect the rich and the powerful. It's the basis of their one big ugly bill, and it continues to be the theme when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein. House Democrats want the truth to come out. We're going to continue to support those efforts. Donald Trump and his son and his closest friends spent years fanning the flame of this theory, and now we're holding them accountable. Do they want to protect the rich and the powerful, or do they want the truth? Those are the questions that the Oversight Committee hopefully will get to the bottom of. Nick?
On redistricting, I mean, for Congressman Delbene, how much harder will it be for Democrats to retake the House if Republicans go ahead with redistricting in Texas? And then, for that matter, do you want blue states to go ahead with mid-cycle redistricting as well?
You know, Republicans are running scared, and it's pretty clear that they know they can't win on their message with voters. They're not listening to them. So they're trying to rig the system, and they're going to try. They've brought this issue up in Texas. They shouldn't do it. They should be careful what they ask for, because they will make Republicans more vulnerable too, and we will compete in every single one of those districts. So Republicans will lose their job if this is the path that they go down, and the American people are against it. They want to make sure that that it's not politicians trying to pick their voters, but voters actually get to pick their representatives.
Let me add a California piece. I'll turn it over to the Vice Chair as well for his thoughts. It's our belief that we can't fight with one hand behind our backs. House Republicans passed this one big ugly bill to kick 17 million people off of health insurance 2 weeks ago. And the first thing that they do after the celebratory high fives at the White House is push forward redistricting efforts to hold on to power. It doesn't sound like a group that's very confident in the policy that they passed, so they want to rig the system. But there should be a response. We can't let Texas go unanswered, and it's our belief that we should do whatever we can to protect democracy. We shouldn't stand on the sidelines while Republicans unwind districts in order to consolidate power to give Donald Trump even more ability to threaten our democracy and set aside the rule of law.
Thank you. In 2018, Democrats flipped the House by 40 seats. One reason it was such a big number is because Republicans thought they were smart when they did gerrymandered redistricting and made a bunch of Republican districts that were sort of Republican, and they thought they could win. Well, they lost them all in that wave. So Atlas Intel, one of the most accurate pollsters last term, came out with a new poll showing Democrats ahead +10 on the generic congressional ballot. So I dare Republicans in Texas and Ohio to do redistricting. I dare you to take incumbent Republicans right now and make their seats less safe, because we're going to flip them.
Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It seems as though the trust deficit between Republicans and Democrats have widened even more since the March CR debate, now that they've passed the reconciliation bill and decisions. You know, as a member of leadership and as an appropriator, I'm just curious, your thoughts heading into recess. How are you feeling about the appropriations process when you all come back? There won't be a lot of time to try to keep the government open. How are you feeling about just where the appropriations process stands? The Senate hasn't passed any bills. The House has only taken up 2 bills. They were party line votes. Just kind of take a step back and give me a state of play as we head into recess.
It's a pretty broken problem. It's a pretty broken system right now, the appropriations process. I'm not going to lie. This is a place where, and I think Kevin McCarthy, kind of started to break this process when he put Freedom Caucus members on the committee. He did that to try to become speaker and to hold the gavel, and we're suffering from that consequence now. The committee's always been a place where reasonable people come together, disagree, and then try to find some common ground and use the appropriations and budgeting process to find common ground to meet the needs of our constituents. We're struggling with that right now, and in the room you see that. Rosa DeLauro is an amazing leader. Tom Cole has a lot of respect, but when you continue to give power to Donald Trump and Russ Vought, who says the appropriations process should be less bipartisan, you're really lifting up some pretty dangerous actions and rhetoric, and we're seeing that. So it isn't just about the rescissions bill. It's about do we have a process or not? Do we trust that the executive is going to spend the money that we allocate? Article 1, Section 9, Clause 7, no money, but in consequence of appropriations. Like, do we stand behind that or not? And I think that's a question for our Republicans colleagues that they're going to have to mull this August, and we hope that they come back and feel a little differently than they have in the past. Appreciate the question. Allie? And then.
Are you concerned at all about the strength of Republican fundraising, and do your members need to do more in terms of giving dues or donating to frontliners?
Look, I'll take the first try at that, and then I'll let Chair Delbene. We need to do everything we can to gain the majority. Everything. Every single member, every way, every possible opportunity we can to help the team. That's what this needs to be about. And I would even argue some of this redistricting, discussion needs to be in that frame too. I understand that people serve different communities and different constituencies. If we have an opportunity to push back against some dangerous behavior that Texas is doing, we should do it with the single focus of making Hakeem Jeffries speaker and protecting democracy and restoring some sanity back to this place. So every member should be giving dues, helping out, helping a colleague, doing town halls in other districts, filling the need that exists to drive our message and to communicate that we stand for rural hospitals, we stand for people getting health care. We stand for affordable living and an opportunity to make a living and realize the American dream. Those are things that we stand for as a party, and that we need to focus every member's attention on that.
Just to add that, public sentiment is with us. I've been across the country talking to folks. Folks are outraged and scared, frankly, about what's happened under this administration, and Republicans who have just let it all happen. But they rewarded their biggest donors with a big bill to tax breaks for the wealthiest and the well-connected, and they saw a benefit from that. But we have grassroots support across the country. It's strong. And when we have great candidates who are talking about the issues that matter on the ground, issues like lowering costs, making sure that people have health care, these are the issues that matter to folks in our districts, and that's absolutely, people are with us, and that's absolutely why we'll take back the majority.
The Republicans are saying that your calls to bring out all the Epstein files are essentially disingenuous, because you've been very energetic to have all the Epstein files released now, but the last 4 years during the Biden administration, those calls weren't there. Can you respond to that?
I think that's false. Vice Chair Liu has been talking about this for a lot of years, so I'll let him speak. But this comes down to what are Republicans afraid of? What's in these documents that they're afraid of, and why won't they call for the release of them? Jeffrey Epstein was prosecuted under the Department of Justice under Donald Trump. Then he leaves the White House, and his closest friends spend 4 years amplifying theories about the case. Put up or shut up. Follow through or don't follow through. But the American people want the truth to come out, and Democrats are the ones leading the charge for that.
During the Biden administration, I talked about the Epstein files, and I noted that Trump was all over the Epstein files that were already released. There's multiple pictures of Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. There's multiple videos. There are bizarre quotes from Trump about Epstein. There are plane logs of Trump on Epstein's plane, and now we know there's this creepy birthday card. And guess what? I'm right and he was wrong, because again, Trump is all over the Epstein files. Let me just say again what I just said. There are multiple pictures of Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, right? There are multiple videos of Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Trump is on Jeffrey Epstein's plane logs. There are weird quotes from Trump about Epstein. There are court pleadings with Trump named. And now we know there's this creepy birthday card Trump wrote to Jeffrey Epstein on his 50th birthday. So I am right. That fact checker was wrong. And why do you think we have this entire explosion now about Epstein? Because Attorney General Pam Bondi, here's the difference, went on national TV and told the American people that Jeffrey Epstein's client list was, quote, sitting on my desk right now. Where's that client list? Why doesn't she release it?
Can't take down the props. Go ahead.
So Hunter Biden on a podcast essentially blamed some of your colleagues being disloyal to President Biden for Democrats' loss in 2024. Do you think these comments are helpful?
I understand a son's love for their father. Those two have a very close relationship, so I understand the sentiment behind it. I've never met Hunter Biden. He's not a colleague. He didn't vote to cut 17 million people's health care. That's what we're focused on, so I'm not really going to get into back and forth on Hunter Biden. We're focused on the issues of the day. I understand the sentiment around what he's saying, but people are going to get kicked off of health care because of actions that House Republicans have taken here. That's the most important thing. I've said before in the past that 100 days isn't enough to run a presidential campaign. I've been clear on that. Things could have been different, but we're moving forward, and we're trying to protect healthcare here. Go ahead.
Just looking ahead to next year, are you at all concerned about your ability to focus voters' attention on the forthcoming Medicaid cuts, given that the tax provisions of Trump's bill are going to take effect that tax season?
This is a deeply unpopular bill. We know that already. We need to continue to hammer that message. And as the American people see more information about the bill, it becomes less popular. So I understand what you're talking about. Some of the provisions going after Medicaid don't take into effect until late next year and early 2017. But guess what? Health insurance premiums are going up. Companies are making decisions because they know there's going to be less revenue as a result of $1 trillion cuts to Medicaid, the largest Medicaid cut in history of this country. So healthcare premiums will rise. That will happen early. Insurers will make these decisions as well. And hospitals are going to have to face difficult decisions on what their future looks like. Rural hospitals and clinics between now and next November are going to have to make some tough decisions. And they should be clear and honest with their constituents and the public as to why they're in this position. It's because House Republicans cut $1 trillion out of Medicaid. And so the task has always been, hard. The task has always been about what represents what's best for the American people. But this is something we know is deeply unpopular. People love and respect Medicaid and Medicare, and these are programs that face cuts under Donald Trump and House Republicans.
Last question.
I was just going to say the premium proposals out there right now, premiums, healthcare costs go up to 75%. I said in my opening remarks. So people are looking, this would take place next year. People are feeling the impacts already. And so this isn't about everything being delayed. It's about costs going up for people right now.
Last question. Back. Go ahead. Yep. Yep. Well, one of the lessons we learned wasn't just in the spring, but this kind of started in December, right? When we had a bipartisan CR that the speaker put out and then backed away from because he got scared by Elon Musk. That really, kind of startled all of us. When you, in our world, when you release a CR, when you post it and put it up in public, it's a deal and you support it. So for the speaker to back away from that, that continued, and obviously it became a smaller CR in March. But I think it did set the course for some of the dysfunction and craziness that we've seen here under this dome. From our perspective, look, we are united against these terrible cuts. House Republicans are looking to cut programs that everyday Americans rely on, looking to cut the Department of Education. I'm heading over to the appropriations bill where they're going to continue to cut our park system and introduce more pesticides and make it easier for corporate polluters to get by. Those are the things that House Republicans stand for. So I think it's pretty easy for us as we weigh our decisions here on how we proceed. The burden is on Republicans. Ask them what their plan is to get a majority vote. Right now, House Republicans and Senate Republicans aren't even on the same page. Get them to let you know what the funding levels are and what their path to a reasonable appropriations process looks like, because they're clearly listening to Russ Vought and not working in a bipartisan way as we have in the past. Thank you so much.
Marvelous, lovely, lovely as always. My bones are fading fast.